From bare-knuckle brawlers throwing haymakers for hours to modern superstars earning nine-figure paychecks, boxing has evolved through distinct eras that shaped the sweet science forever. We're breaking down every major boxing era, from the London prize ring to today's heavyweight renaissance. Let's dive into the brutal, beautiful history of boxing. Number 9. The bare-knuckle era, 1719 through 1892. Picture this: no gloves, no rounds, no mercy. Welcome to boxing's original gangster era. It all started in 1719 when James Figg opened his amphitheater in London and basically invented professional boxing as we know it. This guy fought with swords, clubs, and fists. Talk about a complete package. Jake Brufton, the father of boxing, created the first real rules in 1743 after watching an opponent die from fighting injuries. His rules were simple but revolutionary: no hitting a man when he's down, and fights only ended when someone couldn't come up to scratch, literally a line drawn in the center of the ring. Fun fact, that's where we get the phrase starting from scratch. These fights were absolutely insane. The longest recorded bout lasted 6 hours and 15 minutes between James Kelly and Jonathan Smith in 1855. 6 hours. Modern fighters complain about 12 three-round minutes. The record for career longevity belongs to Jem Mace, who fought professionally for 35 years and had his last exhibition at age 78. That man was tougher than a $2 steak. The era climaxed with John L. Sullivan, the Boston strong boy who became America's first sports superstar. Sullivan was the last bare-knuckle champion and the first gloved champion, literally bridging two eras. His final bare-knuckle fight against Jake Kilrain in 1889 lasted 75 rounds in 100-degree heat in Mississippi. Sullivan won, collected his $20,000 purse, and basically said never again to fighting without gloves. Smart man. Number 8. The early gloved era, 1892 to 1920. September 7th, 1892 changed everything. That's when Gentleman Jim Corbett used superior footwork and boxing IQ to outclass John L. Sullivan over 21 rounds, becoming the first heavyweight champion under the Marquess of Queensberry rules. Boxing suddenly got scientific, and the old sluggers didn't know what hit them. This era was Wild West boxing, literally. Fights happened in remote locations to avoid legal issues, and corruption was rampant. They called it the no-decision era because many fights didn't have official winners to avoid gambling laws. Fighters would box 20 to 25 rounds, the crowd would cheer, and somehow nobody won. Imagine explaining that to today's pay-per-view audience. Jack Johnson became the first black heavyweight champion in 1908, and the racist backlash was immediate and intense. They literally spent years searching for a great white hope to beat him. Johnson's victory over Jim Jeffries in 1910, the so-called fight of the century, caused race riots across America. Johnson didn't just win the ring, he changed society by shattering racist myths about physical superiority. The technical evolution was incredible. Fighters learned to use the padded gloves strategically, developing the jab, cross, hook, and uppercut combinations we recognize today. Bob Fitzsimmons became the first man to win championships in 3 weight classes, proving that skill could triumph over size. The sport was growing up fast. Before we move on to the next one on the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. Number 7. The Golden Age, 1920 through 1940s. The Roaring Twenties brought boxing into the mainstream like never before. Jack Dempsey vs. George Carpentier in 1921 was the first $1 million gate in sports history. Dempsey was boxing's Babe Ruth, a charismatic slugger who captured America's imagination during the Jazz Age. Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, dominated this era like no heavyweight before or since. His record? 25 consecutive title defenses over nearly 12 years. That's not just dominance, that's systematic destruction of an entire generation of heavyweights. Louis fought once every 3 months like clockwork, earning the name Louis Bum of the Month Club, though many of those bums were actually quality fighters. The Louis-Max Schmeling saga was boxing's World War II. Their first fight in 1936 saw Schmeling knocking out Louis, and Nazi Germany celebrated it as proof of Aryan superiority. The 1938 rematch became the most politically charged fight in history. Louis destroyed Schmeling in 124 seconds, and President Roosevelt personally thanked him for striking a blow against fascism. That's when you know boxing transcended sport. Rocky Marciano closed this era as the only undefeated heavyweight champion in history. 49 wins, 43 by knockout, 0 losses. His knockout of Jersey Joe Walcott in 1952 remains one of the most perfect punches ever thrown. Marciano wasn't the most skilled or athletic, but his relentless pressure and granite chin made him impossible to beat. Number 6. The television era, 1950s through 60s. Television changed everything. Suddenly, boxing wasn't just for the wealthy ringside crowd, it was in every American living room. The Gillette Friday night fights became appointment television, and boxing became a weekly ritual for families across America. Floyd Patterson became the youngest heavyweight champion in 1956 at age 21, a record that stood for 30 years until some kid named Mike Tyson came along. Patterson's story was perfect for TV, the shy, introspective champion who'd get knocked down and always fight back. His trilogy with Imogard Johansson gave television some of its most dramatic moments, but TV nearly killed boxing at the local level. Why pay to see a fight at your neighborhood club when you could watch the best fighters for free at home? By the 60s, thousands of small boxing venues had closed. Television created superstars, but destroyed the sport's grassroots foundation. Sonny Liston bridged this era and the next, becoming champion with his intimidating stare and mob connections. Liston was boxing's first true anti-hero, a convicted felon who'd scared opponents just by glaring at them. His mysterious losses to Muhammad Ali remain controversial to this day, cementing his legacy as boxing's most enigmatic champion. Number 5. The Ali era, 1960 through 70s. Muhammad Ali didn't just dominate boxing, he redefined what an athlete could be. Fast, pretty, poetic, and politically outspoken, Ali became the most famous person on earth. His 3 championship reigns proved that greatness isn't just about winning, it's about how you handle adversity. The heavyweight division during Ali's prime was absurdly deep. Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ken Norton, Larry Holmes, any of these men could have dominated another era. Instead, they beat the hell out of each other in legendary trilogies. Ali Frazier alone gave us 3 classics, including the Thrilla in Manila, arguably the greatest heavyweight fight ever. The Rumble in the Jungle might be boxing's greatest single performance. Ali was a 4-1 underdog against the seemingly invincible George Foreman, who destroyed Frazier and Norton in 2 rounds each. Ali's rope-a-dope strategy was pure genius. Let Foreman punch himself out, then attack the exhausted champion. When Ali knocked out Foreman in round 8, he proved that intelligence beats strength every time. This era gave us boxing's greatest quote machine: float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I wrestled with an alligator, I tussled with a whale. It's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am. Ali understood that the build-up was almost as important as the fight itself. He invented modern sports marketing. Number 4. The Lost Generation, 1980s. After Ali retired, the heavyweight division lost its way. Larry Holmes was an excellent champion with a devastating jab, but he had the misfortune of following the greatest heavyweight ever. Fighting in Ali's shadow, Holmes never got the respect he deserved, despite making 20 successful title defenses. The early 80s were boxing's equivalent of the NBA post-Jordan years. Lots of talent, but no transcendent star. Michael Spinks, Jerry Cooney, and others were solid fighters, but none captured the public imagination. Boxing fans desperately needed a savior, and they were about to get one from Brooklyn. Don King emerged as boxing's most powerful promoter during this era, proving that sometimes the most important person in boxing isn't throwing punches. King's ability to create hype and manipulate the media turned decent fights into must-see events. Love him or hate him, King understood that boxing is entertainment first, sports second. The alphabet soup of sanctioning bodies also exploded during this period. The WBA and WBC were joined by the IBF in 1983, fracturing the heavyweight championship for the first time since the 1960s. Suddenly, everyone was a world champion, confusing fans and diluting the sport's prestige. This mess still plagues boxing today. Number 3. The Tyson era, 1985 through 1999. Then came Mike Tyson, and boxing had its monster back. At 20 years, 4 months, and 22 days old, Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history by destroying Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds. The scary part? He was just getting started. Peak Tyson was a force of nature. His first 19 professional fights ended in knockouts, 12 in the first round. Opponents were beaten before the opening bell. Tyson's dead-eye stare during ring introductions was worth 2 rounds. He moved like a middleweight but hit like a sledgehammer, combining Cus D'Amato's peekaboo style with devastating power. The Michael Spinks fight in 1988 was peak Tyson. Spinks was undefeated, a former light heavyweight champion who'd never been knocked down. Tyson needed just 91 seconds to send him into retirement. 91 seconds. The pay-per-view audience barely had time to get comfortable before the fight was over. Then came February 11th, 1990 in Tokyo. Buster Douglas, a 42-1 underdog, knocked out the seemingly invincible Tyson in the 10th round. It remains the biggest upset in sports history. Tyson's aura of invincibility was shattered, and he never fully recovered. Prison, ear-biting, and personal turmoil followed, but for those 5 years, Tyson was the most feared athlete on Earth. Number 2, the Klitschko era, 2000 through 2015. While Americans were lamenting the state of heavyweight boxing, two Ukrainian brothers were quietly building a dynasty. Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko turned the heavyweight division into their personal property for over a decade, and they did it with scientific precision. Vladimir Dr. Steelhammer Klitschko was boxing's ultimate technician. Standing 6'6" with an 81-inch reach, he perfected the art of boring opponents to death. His jab-and-grab style frustrated fans but devastated opponents. Klitschko made 18 consecutive title defenses, systematically dismantling every challenger with computer-like efficiency. The Klitschkos were PhDs in their fighting styles, literally. Both brothers held doctorate degrees and spoke multiple languages. They brought intellectual respectability to a sport often criticized for its brutality. Their fights were tactical chess matches that showcased boxing's technical aspects, even if they sometimes put audiences to sleep. Critics called it the most boring era in heavyweight history, but numbers don't lie. The Klitschkos cleaned out their division so thoroughly that finding credible opponents became nearly impossible. They faced everyone available and beat them all convincingly. Sometimes dominance isn't pretty, but it's still dominance. Number 1, the Modern Renaissance, 2015 through present. Boxing is back, baby. The current heavyweight era rivals any in history for pure talent and entertainment value. It started when Tyson Fury outboxed Vladimir Klitschko in 2015, ending the Ukrainian's 9-year reign and injecting personality back into the division. The Fury-Wilder trilogy gave us heavyweight boxing's most compelling modern rivalry. The first fight ended in a controversial draw after Fury survived a 12th-round knockdown that looked like a death scene from a movie. The rematch saw Fury dominate and stop Wilder in 7 rounds, while the trilogy fight provided pure drama with Fury rising from 2 knockdowns to score a knockout victory. Anthony Joshua brought legitimate star power to the division, selling out Wembley Stadium multiple times and breaking pay-per-view records. His shocking loss to Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2019 proved that heavyweight boxing's upset tradition is alive and well. Joshua's immediate rematch victory showed the heart of a true champion. The current undisputed champion, Alexander Usyk, might be the most skilled heavyweight since Muhammad Ali. This former undisputed cruiserweight champion seamlessly moved up to heavyweight and outclassed both Joshua and Fury. His victory over Fury in 2024 gave boxing its first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999. What makes this era special is the global reach. British fighters selling out stadiums, Ukrainian and Eastern European champions, and American contenders creating a truly international division. Social media has made every fighter accessible, and streaming platforms are bringing boxing to new audiences worldwide. From James Figg's London Amphitheatre to Usyk's modern masterclasses, boxing has survived bare-knuckles, world wars, television, and Don King to emerge stronger than ever. Each era brought its own legends, controversies, and innovations that shaped the sweet science. The heavyweight championship remains the most coveted prize in sports, and today's fighters are carrying that torch with pride and power. The next great era is being written right now, and if history teaches us anything, it's that boxing always finds a way to surprise us. Like this breakdown of boxing history? Smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started breaking down the beautiful brutality of the sweet science.